Two guys of Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
But we know we got to get a lot better. And, I've been on teams that have started fast and not made the playoffs. So I think that's a good, we have a lot of guys on this team that have had that experience to know that, hey, we got to stay on top of it. We got to keep getting better. The teams that find ways to get better throughout the season, those are teams that do things and in the end of the season, and that allows them to go deep into the playoffs. So we got to kind of take advantage of this bye week and then go back to work.
Should we do it? Should we wave it? There you go. 5-1. 5-1. Bobbleheads in play as well. Thank you, Stella. She brought the flag in. She was playing with it. There it is. 5-1. The Vikings far from perfection, but at this point in time, I got to be honest. Bye week, 2 games up, really 3 games up on the Green Bay Packers, who lost to the Jets. What the hell, right, Declan Goff? What the hell? The Vikings are I believe this is as far as they've been in the driver's seat since 2017, which is the last time that they won the division. And of course, that team went 13-3 and went all the way to the conference championship game. We won't talk about what happened in Philadelphia there. But the Vikings they're certainly not playing great, but what they are doing with Kevin O'Connell now in his first year is winning football games. Welcome into Mackie and Judd. Phil out. If you did not see his tweet, his dad passed away, I think, late Saturday. Our thoughts and prayers are with our colleague. Phil's a great guy, a great friend. And I do want to say this. He has passed along that he appreciates the support that a lot of you folks have provided him on Twitter. So thank you very much. We do have a family here at SKOR North and, of course, Purple Daily as well. It's a tough time. Phil, I think, will be back at some point this week. But nonetheless, thank you for your support of our friend. It means a lot to him, and it also means a lot to us. All right, Declan Goff, let's get to it. It is time for, as it is every Monday at this time, as the YouTube audience can see, Vikings statements. Statements about a 5-1 team. Statements about a team that I think it's safe to say could borrow a phrase that was used a lot way before your time by the 1983 AL West Division champion Chicago White Sox, winning ugly. That was their credo as they went to the ALCS back then was, we don't care how we do it, and we acknowledge we are winning ugly, but we are, at that time, winning baseball games. Vikings doing the same thing in football. So let's start. What is your first statement off the Miami game?
All right, so my first statement off the Vikings win over the Dolphins and the fact the Vikings are now 5-1 heading into the bye week is I do not care. I do not care, though, in this regard, Judd. Not that I do not care that the Vikings are 5-1. I do not care about these things.
Okay.
I don't care that the defense is allowing 400-plus yards to Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay.
I do not care that Kirk Cousins is off to his slowest statistical start of his NFL career. I do not care that the offense is going 3-and-out still. I do not care that the Vikings kicker seems to still have a little bit of shakiness to his game. I do not care about most of that stuff because the Vikings are 5-1 and sit firmly up top of the NFC North and are in the driver's seat to win the NFC North and are 5-1 winning games ugly and winning games regardless of the outcome, winning games regardless of the situations. I do not care right now about some of the warts that are there. Now, is there some things that could pop up and percolate that you have to figure out during this self-bye week and then going forward against other opponents after the bye week? Of course there are. But I do not care that the Minnesota Vikings have some warts here and there. I care about that they have won 5 of their first 6 games. The Vikings are 5-1 in the season, and that's all I care about. Winning is winning.
Let me ask you this. Do you not care about the fact that those problems are in the first 6 games in which they have won 5 of the 6, but do you care going forward? Because, I do care that they get some things.
For sure.
That they get some, that there are areas of improvement in the stuff that you just said, except for Kirk. For the Kirk thing, I'm not going to obsess about his stats because I feel for far too long that's been the ultimate defense of Kirk, and it's not been because the record is good or bad. Do you care about going forward, though, that a lot of those things get at least improved, not fixed
for sure
completely? Okay.
I don't. Yeah, it's in the limelight of the first 6 games of well, I don't know, this bend or not break defense, or oh boy, they're three. No, you have figured out ways to win games. You've overcome that adversity. You've overcome some murkiness and some muddiness, and you still figure out ways to win games. So yes, figure out some things, clean some things up, go into the bye week 5-1 and sitting pretty right now. That's a good feeling to have. Yes. And don't take it for granted, obviously, because you're still going to come out. You have to play the Cardinals at home. You got to go on the road. The Buffalo Bills matchup now seems like it's going to be a lot more fun of a game. There's still some tough things on this Viking schedule, right?
Yes.
There's still a lot of tough things, but at the same time, you have found ways to win games. So I do not care right now about all that murky stuff because you're 5-1. You're going to the bye week on top of the NFC North.
Yes, in fact, I'll play off that with this statement 6 games in, okay? You have found a way. And so I feel like we get to the end of these games, and these Vikings games are very reflective of this entire league. Like, these games are going on constantly. If you're a Vikings fan, you are hyper-focused, and you should be on your team's game. But if you were to go to an arbitrary games elsewhere and, watch that game, you would say, this is sort of crappy. This isn't great. This is filled with flaws. This league, as I said on PD, the Chiefs and Bills are not reflective of this league. That is great football, and that is great to watch. That's not a reflection of what's really going on, though. That's like going to Edina and saying, this is Minnesota. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No. Those big houses are not reflective of my house, your apartment, whatever, right? So, the difference, I think, between the 2021 Vikings and the 2022 Vikings is not just all simple luck. Well, they're getting luck this year and they didn't last year. Because you're creating your luck, and you're also, like with Kirk, you're coming through when you have to. That's where I don't get obsessed with the stats. Just go, just look at Kirk's stats and look at how many times he put up stats when the Vikings were down by 14 points or 17 points. And you know what? At that point in time, I don't care about that. And so I think there is a stark contrast in the fact that this coaching staff and this team is finding ways to win games that maybe they shouldn't win. And yes, it'd be nice if they would pull away from the Lions and Bears. I get that. But a year ago, they sabotaged themselves. And when you sabotage yourself, you do not create luck. In my opinion, the last Vikings team that created its luck and fortune, and then you start to get it. That's the other thing, right? In sports, fortune comes your way if you do the right things to get it. Was the 2017 Vikings. That team, yes, Keenum stepped in and played great, and that was a one-season thing. But they created a lot of their fortune, and good for them, and it worked. The 19 team was solid and really good defensively. But I really think that this is the first time that the Vikings have put themselves in a position to get fortuitous bounces their way, and then they do, and that's awesome. But you are what your record says you are, and the Vikings are 5-1 in large part, I think, because they have come through when it matters most, i.e. the Cousins comebacks. I'll take those comebacks all day over, man, did you see Kirk's stats, but the Vikings lost. So
exactly.
That's my statement.
Okay, I'm
like
it.
You on this.
I like it. All right, I'll give you another statement here as well. It's kind of funny to bring up because, we've sometimes questioned this guy, but dare I say, Kirk Cousins is becoming likable. Look at this guy.
I know. I agree with this.
Look at this guy.
I love this statement.
Look at this guy.
I know.
With the chain on, the pants tucked in for our YouTube audience, for our podcast audience. Yes, if you did not see this clip circulating around, it is Kirk Cousins with his white T-shirt tucked into his pants.
That's awesome.
With numerous chains on from, I don't know which players. I'm guessing they're not Kirk players, but living his best Kirk white dad life right now.
That's Darisaw's chain, right? Like at the bottom? Chain?
The one of them might be Darisaw's, but clearly the other two aren't. Yes, yeah. It is. The other two are whoever's. I don't know who they are, but Kirk Cousins is becoming incredibly likable. He just seems so much more comfortable. And yes, he had a cantankerous coach for his first Vikings tenure. He was playing in Washington before that, which is just a dumpster fire, basically, of an organization. He just finally seems a lot more likable. There's still, some of the tense Kirk moments, the hands on the helmet trying to hear the play like he does, he's trying to hear things, but body language wise in general, there's always been things about him that that have obviously caused panic and cause for concern because he doesn't really, epitome this level of cool that, Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen have, or this swagger that they have. But right now, Kirk Cousins is becoming a very likable figure. I've been watching this clip over and over again. That's why I keep playing it on our YouTube channel, because it's just hilarious. It's peak awkward, hilarious white guy Kirk, but it works for him. It works for Kirk Cousins. So that's what's so incredible to me. So my statement is Kirk Cousins is becoming likable.
I'm just delighted that you brought this up, because one is, and I think I talked about this going back to training camp, like at the podium, where he had become clearly more comfortable being Kirk. And here's what I love, because I agree completely again with you on this, is that it is like we are now seeing Kirk just be Kirk. And I don't know if it's a combination of things. That's my guess. But I mean, he clearly now is being embraced by his coach. Because I don't know his teammates ever didn't embrace him. Like, do I think that he could be a Brady type of take the team and lead them? No, personally, I don't. But I think for the most part, he's been just sort of liked, right? Like, he's not a bad guy. He's a weird guy, but he's not a bad guy. But I think the fact that his coach didn't like him, and it was just so clear. And I don't think Kirk had the ability to overcome that and say, well, I really don't care what you think, Mike. I'm going to be Kirk. But he is now. And it's great fun to watch. It's great fun to watch the fact that he is just embracing being a geek. And he's a geek. I think the most important thing, and it's hard at times, but I think the most important thing in life is to embrace your personality.
Yes.
And like your personality doesn't, like you can't decide it. Like you don't get to say, you know what? I'm Judd Zolgad. I'm super cool. I'm going to go around being cool. Because then you're just an idiot.
Yeah.
Like I embrace, and I think you do the exact same thing. I embrace who I am. It's just who I am. And it's funny. And I'm weird. And I like that. And it feels like Kirk Cousins is doing that now. And I will say this, what dovetails into that equation is post-game pressers and stuff. There's far more like candidness now. Yeah. And it's not, he doesn't have like a big edge to him, but I always felt before like there was just a certain facade he put up. I don't think, just as an example, I don't think, Dex, that you would get now, when he didn't get vaxxed last year, and we were asking him, what's your plan, dude? Because you're the quarterback of this team. And if you go out, which of course he did in Green Bay, I don't think we would get the same responses. And for instance, I don't think he would do we'll meet out by the goalposts in January if we have to now. Like, I think that was a defense mechanism. He knew his coach was pissed off.
Yep.
He was clearly uncomfortable. I feel like there's more realness now. I'm not saying he wouldn't say something goofy, but that was just defensive. That wasn't fun goofy. That was defensive. I don't know what we're going to do. We'll meet up by the goalpost. That whole facade and that whole demeanor of Kirk Cousins seems to be gone, and I'm with you. It's likable. If he had acted like this from day one publicly, I think there would have been a lot more forgiveness and a lot more, you know what, at least you're being real. Because that's what frustrated me. For years, I called him what? The corporate quarterback, right? It was as if he was acting the part. This guy's not. This guy's just being like, I'm a goofball. I'm pretty good at throwing the football, but I'm a goofball.
It's really easy. It's really easy to spot phoniness and fakeness in people. It really is. And there just seemed to be a lot of phoniness to him before, and not embracing who he is, which is just kind of this dorky guy, which is fine. I'm a dork in ways. I'm a dork in a lot of ways, not just a little ways.
So am I.
I'm a dork. Yeah. And look, we are also, you and I and Phil, we're in a personality-driven business. Okay. So we are in, it is our job to use our personality also to convey in our rhetoric and convey into our points we're making. And then when you meet us at Surly Brewing Company, which we saw yesterday with so many great Purple Daily and SKOR North fans, we are who we are. We're not any fake to you. We'll talk to you. We are the exact same. I got so many of the, wow, you're You're a lot like this is weird talking to you in person because, like, I've watched you and see you every day, but this is an interesting little conversation that we're having, right? And that's fine. That's good. I want to embrace everyone, and I'm going to be who I am. And Kirk should do the same, by the way. Kirk should be this kind of funny, awkward dad, and who drives a minivan and listens to Creed and takes rocks out of a jar and cooks weird mystery.
That's a little
meat.
weird, yes.
That part's a little weird, but be that guy. Don't be anything you're not. All right, Judd. My next statement. Is it me or is it you?
No,
you.
I think you did Kirk. All right.
Me, then you. All right, go.
My next statement, Phil. That was very Phil-like.
Is it back to me?
The devil is in the details.
Ooh, I like it.
Of situational football. All right, so why did the Vikings win? Yes, the Dolphins were without their tackles, tight end. There were there were things that definitely factored in the Vikings' way. The Dolphins were undisciplined, took penalties. But let me give you some of the key stats. So, like, if you're just like, well, the Vikings got fortunate. They shouldn't have won that game. And we could say that. That's fine. The Vikings forced 3 turnovers. Opportunistic. We like to call it in football, sudden change. Sudden change presents opportunity, okay? 3 turnovers is very important. Third down, the Miami Dolphins, 4 of 14. That's damn good. So third down, and you know what? If memory serves, a lot of that was third and long, but because the pass rush was there, okay? So 4 for 14 on third down, on the road, in the heat, get off the field. The Vikings did. And the last one, and this has been a problem until now, but on Sunday it wasn't. The defense gave up 73 yards rushing. So, like, when you just say, well, that was an ugly game and the Vikings got fortunate, those details that I just gave you are all very key reasons. And I know we expect more from the offense, and I know it had an off day for sure. But Kevin O'Connell wasn't solely brought here to, like, have a high-flying offense. Kevin O'Connell was brought here to, as Declan keeps saying, win football games. Mm-hmm. And if the defense pulls its weight more than the offense for a week, and everybody on defense was awarded a game ball, so it did. You know what? You were hired to win football games. You need to find ways. The Vikings found ways. And those 3 stats I just ran through are all incredibly important reasons why the Vikings won that game on Sunday on the road in the heat.
All right, we'll keep it moving here on Vikings statements. I'll give you another Vikings-related one here, Judd Zolgad. Keep bringing the pressure. Keep bringing the pressure. So the Vikings defensive line yesterday, a great day for Zadarius Smith, great day for Danielle Hunter. 11 total pressures for Zadarius Smith yesterday against the Dolphins. He now is up to 29 on the season. That's actually the second most of any defender in the NFL. So Zadarius Smith, who was brought in as this bargain player, and I don't know, he's got a bad back, and those are cause for concerns. He fails a physical, backs out of this deal, and now the Vikings kind of get him on this make-good contract, and hey, maybe he'll be a nice little tag team partner with Danielle Hunter. Well, so far, Zadarius Smith has been great. Even when he was limited in action against the Saints and battling a knee injury, he still figured out ways to, when he was on the field, to get after the quarterback and get a lot of pressure. So Zadarius Smith with a big day. Danielle Hunter also with a couple sacks yesterday. He has 6 pressures. He had a 90.7 PFF grade on Sunday as well.
Sack,
so
right?
One sack, yeah, one sack, for Danielle Hunter. But the defensive line as a whole too. Patrick Jones had a big day. You just saw the defensive line finally get after the quarterback, which is what I think we all wanted the Vikings defense to do because it actually has the personnel to do so. Obviously, with the 2-headed dragon in Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter. But now guys like Patrick Jones stepping up. DJ Wanham has had some moments too. So I think bringing the pressure, that was one of the biggest things that I wanted to see. You had 2 backup tackles in for the Dolphins. You had 2 different quarterbacks that were able to get snaps in yesterday for the Miami Dolphins. And the Vikings defense was in their face all game long. So keep bringing the pressure.
Yeah, and I talked about the past 2 weeks that the bye week would give the Vikings a chance, and Ed Donatel in particular, to take a long self-scout of the defense and try and figure out a way to get more pressures. But it appears they beat me to the punch because the pressure was purposeful. Like that was no mistake. It felt like they brought a lot more consistent pressure. So they definitely made some changes there, or some tweaks that benefited them. The good news is this, Dex. So I thought it was going to be a big deal that DJ Wanham didn't play because of illness in that game on Sunday. But Patrick Jones II stepped up, had 2 sacks, and looked great. And now Jones had been playing, But I mean, I think now he probably plays more. And so the more depth, the better, especially because we don't know how long Za'Darius is going to be here. But I think the Vikings opened up a door that was really interesting, and you're definitely going to want to consistently try and bring that type of pressure. The interesting thing about that, though, is coming out of the bye, your first game's against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, which is you're going to have to contain him as well. But yeah, I think for all of the things we saw and talked about in nitpicks on PD today, I think that the pressure and what the defensive line did was really impressive and a really good sight. And yes, Smith looked fantastic. And I would have to say that has probably been one of the best signings thus far. Because to your point, it wasn't super expensive, but he has come back from a back problem, which in football ordinarily can be a death knell.
Oh, yeah.
And he has looked fantastic. Like, that's as much as I didn't expect this much. So yes, it's been for all the things that we can pick apart, that definitely has been good news. Here's my next statement.
Okay.
And I was glad to see this because the man, up until this time, had not had a good game. Not done a lot. But the chef has returned. The chef was in the kitchen. Dalvin Cook, 53-yard touchdown run late to ice that game. It was the Dalvin Cook type of run, and it was well blocked up. It was really well blocked up. But Dalvin found the hole, pulled away, and that was the speed that I have been talking about now until then. So starting in week 1 and going until that fourth quarter run of 53 yards for a touchdown by Dalvin Cook, that was the speed that I've been saying, where is that? Like that gear, right? Like where's that? And we hadn't seen it, and I heard the analyst on the game actually said that he had been told, I don't know if it was by Vikings people or what, but in his preparation for the game on Sunday, he had been told, yeah, the gear's not there. And he said, yeah, it is, and we saw it. That was a really good sign. And I don't know if that gear is consistently there now, and Cook is getting into a flow of things. But that was if you had to put together like a top 5 bright spots, right? Pass rush won because it was outstanding for most of the game. But I think Dalvin Cook's run is up there because it showed us something that until he broke away, Declan, we hadn't seen. The chef returned.
The chef is back. Yeah, actually, that one of my statements too was needing more explosive plays from Dalvin Cook, and finally he rips off a big run there. The Vikings forced a turnover, right, and they were able to kind of just ice this game away. Kirk Cousins wasn't asked to do a lot in the fourth quarter, but the Vikings offense and the defense did. We talked about in the pie chart of praise on Purple Daily, which you can go find as well. That whole fourth quarter was just a trickle-down effect of great offensive plays, great situational defensive plays, and also obviously great coaching. That all that comes from coaching. And yeah, some of the football gods are now maybe rewarding the Vikings after having some things go not their way, essentially the last 2 seasons in clutch time and into the fourth quarter. But in general, you had Dalvin Cook, who had a big explosive day, and you need that. You need Dalvin Cook to be much more involved in this offense, and you need him to have explosive plays here and there. He's going to get the rock, 18 to 20 times a game. It's still a little strange. We talked about this on Purple Daily, too, that, he's not getting the football in the passing game, which is a little strange, and you'd like to see him get involved more with some reception and some screen game and some wheel routes, as Judd Zolgad really wants him to do.
I like the wheel. I love the wheel route.
Who doesn't?
I love the wheel route.
Doesn't love the wheel route. But yes, I'd like to see Dalvin Cook get more in there. Judley, do you have any other Viking statements?
Let me see here. Let me go through my statements and find out. You know what? I have one more. I need a good troll job. And I think you have one from Packer Ventline, if that's possible. I need a good. This is one of the great. Save this for Phil too. This is one of the great troll jobs all time done on WTMJ in Wisconsin.
All right, let's go. Let's go take a look here.
Yeah, the positive thing that came out of the day is Skol Vikings, let's win the game.
All right, okay, all right. Wait, how do we do?
Vikings
Okay, like how do we hang up on him? How do we do this? I don't know. All right, that's also not allowed.
I'm with you there, but this isn't about the Vikings being any better than we thought the Vikings were. This is about where the Packers are. I can't think of the last time they were at this point.
I have a lot of respect for the troll job that Mark just pulled on us because he was on hold for over 45 minutes just to sing that
Vikings,
dumbass song.
That's got to
my
go
God.
in. That's got to go in top 5, right?
Oh yeah,
All-time calls.
Excellent move, and I love the Judd Zolgan. Hey, how do I hang up with him? I don't know what to do. You didn't know.
I knew how to hang up. You know that.
Actually, you did.
I knew how to hang up. I could disconnect a caller. But I like the fact that the host then credited the caller and said the dude hung on for a long time just to do that. But he got a lot of it in. He got a really decent portion in. That was absolutely fantastic.
Head over to Purple Daily 2 for bonus Packer vent line calls. It was a glorious week as the Packers found another way to lose, and Packer fans are panicking.